For a very long time, I was convinced that my body is just not made for stripy dresses, which is a bummer because I adore stripes. This belief started at the tender age of 12. I used to have this black and white striped dress. It was quite fitted at the top, and then the skirt was going kind of A-line from the waist. And it had buttons on the front all the way down. And even though I was only 12, I already had bigger hips. So what was happening, those buttons were kind of opening up around my hips, exposing my underwear. I had to hand stitch that part of the button stand so that it stays together. I loved that dress, but it was already telling me that something is wrong with my body. The belief that I've been fighting with for the most of my adult life. In the last few years, I've been actively saving stripy dresses on Pinterest because I was thinking, you know what? I am more confident in my body. Maybe now I can give it a go. However, the dresses I was looking at looked like this, and the women who were modeling them looked very different from what I look. And that part is very important. The dresses themselves are beautiful, and they look beautiful on these women because they work with their bodies. Those few times that I tried to make similar dresses for myself, all I did was bringing back those old insecurities, because dresses like this highlight every single thing on my body that I don't want to be highlighted. The stripes get distorted in the most unflattering way, and I absolutely hate how I look in it. And if I don't feel comfortable in the clothing, I'm not wearing it. But last year we got this fabric and it was love at the first sight. This is 100% cotton jersey. The type of the fabric is piqué. It's usually used for the polo shirts, and it means that it's fantastic for summer. It's super breathable. It's very sweat forgiving, and I just kept looking at it thinking I have to try and make that stripy dress again. But I knew that this time I will do something different, because repeating the same process again makes no sense. I already know the results. They will suck. And this is why I always tell our students, you have to make tests. You have to try things out. You will never learn how to make things work for your body if you never try. You have to fail. You have to waste fabric. You have to make mistakes to learn from them. You cannot learn by watching videos or reading more books or just absorbing more and more theory. Clothes making is a practical skill, and it's not just about how to make a pattern, how to choose a fabric. It's also very much about learning how to make clothes work for your body. You might even create the most beautiful and neatly done piece of clothing, but if it doesn't work with your body, if it doesn't work with your style, you will never feel beautiful and comfortable in it. So this time I was committed to making a stripy dress that will work for my body. I took a different approach. I didn't try anymore to make just full horizontal stripe look. It wouldn't have worked, and I know it. Why would I even think of wasting this beautiful fabric on something that I already know from experience doesn't work? I had to come up with a different plan. And here's what I did. I already had a pattern for this dress, and I knew that I loved the fit. So it's a bit more fitted on the top, like a tank top. And then I have this kind of flaring skirt that's made out of 3 panels at the bottom. But I didn't want to make top just horizontal, and instead I rotated my fabric. So I used the fabric design to help me design the final look of the dress. As you can see, in the middle I have my vertical lines, then I have diagonal on the sides, and the back is completely vertical, and the skirt is made out of panels with horizontal stripes. I love playing around with stripes this way because it creates a lot more curiosity about the entire dress. And while the pattern for this dress is extremely simple, stripes are doing their own design work, like vertical and diagonal stripes on the top add a little bit more width to the top of my body, which overall creates a beautiful balance with the horizontal stripes at the bottom. But keep in mind that the stripes can not only make your garment but also break your garment. When I was deciding on how to attach the skirt, because I had 2 options. Option number 1 is having 2 vertical seams on the front and 1 on the back. And option number 2 was the opposite, 1 vertical seam on the front and 2 on the back. This was the most important decision in making this dress. This is the one I went for. I have 2 vertical seams. There is this seam going through the middle of the back and kind of creates this nice nice V shape, visually creates nice and beautiful fit for the skirt. But let me show you what happens if I put this dress backwards so you can properly see what happens to the skirt. Because there are two seams on the back, they make this whole area look visually much heavier, and therefore the visual balance of the dress completely disappears. Now the eye is just focusing on this heavy bottom part. As you can see, stripes are not an enemy once you learn how to use them to make them work for your body. We are all so different, and there is no one simple recipe that works for everyone. Now, stripes are just an example. The bigger message here is that sometimes you might think that certain fabrics or certain designs don't work for your body and you just stop there. But this is not the truth. The truth is that you haven't found the way how to turn that idea of that garment into something that works for you. Because it doesn't have to be an identical dress that you liked. It can be an idea of the dress, but transformed in a way that makes it work for your body, not against it. And that's exactly why every time someone asks me, hey, do you have a pattern for that? The answer is yes, but not in a way you expect. You don't want my pattern because we have different bodies. And if you keep buying ready sewing patterns and wondering why they never work, the answer is very simple. It's because they're not made for your body. They don't include you in them. There is a much easier and quicker and much more sense-making way to design and make clothes, is to learn how to create your own custom pattern blocks and then use them to design clothes that you would love to wear. And the best part, once you crack the blocks, all the patterns that you will make from them will always fit you because they already have you in them. Let me show you very quick how I designed a pattern for this dress using my custom blocks. I'm starting with my dartless bodice blocks that I use for jersey. I have different blocks for different stretch factors. For this specific dress, I'm using my 80% stretch factor blocks. All my horizontal measurements have been reduced down to 80%. I copy my blocks as they are to the new piece of paper. I will reduce the size of my shoulder this much from the neckline and a little bit more from the armhole. So this is now my new shoulder. I want my neckline to be a bit lower. Let's say something like this. I draw a new neckline. I want to drop down my armhole a little bit, let's say like this, and I connect it to my new shoulder. So I can go to the back, copy where I want my armhole to be and the shoulder. Draw my new neckline slightly lower at the back. I want to keep it pretty standard here, so nothing dramatic, just a bit smaller like this. Because I'm working with a super curious stripy fabric, I want to add a block over here with fabric going diagonally. I am deciding how much I want it to be. Let's say something like this. I would cut my front into front one, front two, center front. This is side seam. But you see what's happening? If I put a stitch over here, it's going way up into the shoulder seam. I'll be attaching the trim. It will be very kind of ugly. Instead, what I can do, I can reduce a little bit the width of my shoulder and change slightly the shape of my neckline. This way. I need to go here to the back, align with my armhole because I haven't changed it, and slightly reduce here the shoulder width. Okay, and now I can cut this part out. This part will be one piece, it will be on the fold, and this will be diagonal. I just have to put front together first. Once it's done, I'm doing my shoulders and then I'm measuring the neckline and making the trim roughly 20% shorter. It depends on the fabric. For 100% cotton fabrics, it's usually 20%. And then after that is done, I'm closing my side seams and measuring the length of my armholes and doing the same calculation, the full length, and for the trim, minus 20% more or less. And after that, my top part is done. And I don't actually make pattern for the skirt. I just design it right on the fabric. I measure the length of my top. What's this waist measurement? This is in scale, but let's say for the sake of experiment, it's 15.5, let's say 15. Half of my waist is 15, which means that the full waist is 30. If I want to make the skirt with 3 panels like this, kind of A-line, 3 of them, each top needs to be 10. 3 times will come to 30. I just go to my fabric I fold it like this. So this is now the fold, and this is the grain direction too. I decide on the length of my skirt. Let's say 15. If my entire waist here needs to be 10, yeah, in this case. But I'm folding my fabric in half, so this needs to be 5. So 5. And now I connected down to my widest possible point on the fabric. How much width can I possibly get? Cut it out. See, this corner doesn't look nice. Basically just going a little bit up until it hits the right angle. And that's it, that's my skirt is ready. 3 panels. I usually have this one in the front. So I have 2 seams in the front and there'll be 1 seam on the back. You want to add a little stabilizing tape at the bottom of your bodice. You basically measure the length of your entire waistline and you cut a tape maybe 5 centimeters shorter and you stretch this tape evenly on the wrong side. Add an extra layer of strength so that the heavy skirt is holding to more than just 1 layer of fabric. Yeah, from these basic blocks we designed a brand new dress pattern and you can put it together in a couple of hours easy. You see how simple and straightforward that is. Once you crack these basics, you will never have to look for another ready pattern ever again, because you have an understanding how to break any garment you see anywhere into a pattern that will work for your body. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend and I'll see you next Friday.